two he would fly about. And this one called to that one and said, Holy, holy, holy is Jehovah of armies. The fullness of all the earth is his glory. And I proceeded to say, Woe to me! For I am as good as brought to silence, because a man unclean in lips I am, and in among a people unclean in lips I am dwelling. For my eyes have seen the King, Jehovah of armies, himself. At that, one of the seraphs flew to me, and in his hand there was a glowing coal that he had taken with tongs off the altar. And he proceeded to touch my mouth and to say, Look! This has touched your lips, and your error has departed and your sin itself is atoned for. Issa 6. 1-7. No description is given of the divine person. However, the skirts of his majestic garment are said to have filled the temple, leaving no place for anyone to stand. His throne did not rest upon the ground but, besides being lofty, was lifted up. The seraphs standing may mean hovering, by means of one of their sets of wings, just as the cloud was standing or hovering by the entrance of Jehovah's tent in the wilderness. 31. 15. Professor Franz Delitzsch comments on the position of the seraphs. The seraphim would not indeed tower above the head of him that sat upon the throne, but they hovered above the robe belonging to him with which the hall was filled. Commentary on the Old Testament, 1973, Volume 7, Part 1, p. 191. The Latin Vulgate, instead of saying seraphs were standing above him, says they were standing above it. Issa 6. 1, 2. Of high rank. These mighty heavenly creatures are angels, evidently of very high position in God's arrangement, since they are shown in attendance at God's throne. The cherubs seen in Ezekiel's vision corresponded to runners that accompanied the celestial chariot of God. As 10. 9-13. This idea of positions of rank or authority in the heavens is in harmony with Colossians 1. 16, which speaks of things in the heavens and upon the earth, the things visible and the things invisible, no matter whether they are thrones or lordships or governments or authorities. Their function and duty. The number of seraphs is not mentioned, but they were calling to one another, evidently meaning that some were on each side of the throne and were declaring Jehovah's holiness and glory in antiphonal song, one group repeating after the other or responding to the other with a part of the declaration. Holy, holy, holy is Jehovah of armies. The fullness of all the earth is his glory. Compare the reading of the Lord and the people's answering, at the 27. 11-26. With humility and modesty in the presence of the Supreme One, they covered their faces with one of their 3 sets of wings, and being in a holy location, they covered their feet with another set, in due respect for the heavenly King. Issa 6. 2, 3. The cry of the seraphs concerning God's holiness shows that they have to do with seeing that his holiness is declared and that his glory is acknowledged in all parts of the universe, including the earth. One of the seraphs touched Isaiah's lips to cleanse away his sin and his error by means of a glowing coal from off the altar. This may indicate that their work is in some way associated with cleansing away sin from among God's people, such cleansing being based on the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on God's altar. Issa 6. 3, 6, 7. Their visionary form. The description of the seraphs as having feet, wings, and so forth, must be understood to be symbolic, their likeness to the form of earthly creatures being only representative of votex to acute muritra longo, Sirog 898 kind of snake. PS 58. 4. 140. 3. PR 23. 32. Thus the tribe of Dan is likened first simply to a serpent chash, and then specifically to a horned snake shepi van lying by the roadside and striking out at Israel's enemies. G 49. 17. This Hebrew term corresponds to the Greek ophis, which is also generic. While many snakes in Israel today are of the non-venomous types, biblical references to snakes are mainly with regard to those that are dangerous or venomous. The Hebrew words tzifr and sip-o-ni are understood by lexicographers to refer to poisonous snakes, the Hebrew pronunciation perhaps representing in sound the hissing noise made by such snakes when they are approached. Both may refer to some variety of viper, but identification is uncertain. The King James Version incorrectly translated these words as referring to the mythical cockatrice, at Isaiah 11. 8. 14, 29, 59, 5, and Jeremiah 8, 17. In the account about the converting of Moses' rod into a snake Acts 7, 9-13, the Hebrew word tannin is used, evidently referring to a big snake in view of the use of the word in other texts as describing a monstrous creature of the sea. G 1, 21, Job 7, 12, PS 74, 13, 148, 7, Issa 27, 1, 51. 9 other texts where the term clearly applies to venomous snakes are Deuteronomy 32, 33 and Psalm 91. 13, where cobras are also mentioned. A fountain in post-exilic Jerusalem was known as the Fountain of the Big Snake.